morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Asian Rugby Conference presented by the Asian Rugby Business Club, Singapore Rugby Union and Sport Singapore. It's a tremendous occasion this morning and this afternoon to network, as well as rub shoulders with some of the power brokers of Asian Rugby and World Rugby. So it's a nice intimate crowd. I'm sure you'll get real bang for buck this morning. And you're likely to hear just exactly how exciting it is for rugby union in the region at this moment, and of course it all culminates this weekend with the return of Rugby Sevens, but the introduction of the World Series to Singapore after a 10-year break. So it's fantastic to be part of that occasion this weekend, and it's I'm very happy to say hello to you this morning. I hope you've made the most of your time today. And if I see you at the gala charity dinner later on, then I look forward to possibly sharing one or two cold drinks with you across the evening. It is a rugby event after all. I will now introduce you to our speakers for today before we take on a keynote presentation. In your programs you will see that Claude Atcher is down. Claude is unable to make it this morning, but his colleague Benoit River will be presenting on his behalf this morning. He tells me it's no problem. He can read Claude's mind anyway. Sorry, our speakers today. Bernard Lapasse is a French rugby administrator who is currently the World Rugby Chairman. He's previously served as President of the French Federation of Rugby Union from 1991 to May 2008, and he is also Vice Chairman of the National Olympic Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bernard Lapasse. Since 2011, Koji Takamasu has served as the General Manager of the Rugby World Cup 2019 Organising Committee. He was also one of the key members behind the success of the Rugby World Cup 2019 bid. Koji was appointed a board member of the Japanese Rugby Union in 2012, and he has recently been elected as Asia Rugby Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, the Asia Rugby Chairman, Koji Takamasu. Lo Teo Ping has been appointed as the Chef de Mission for Team Singapore at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. The Singapore National Olympic Council Vice President and the President of the Singapore Rugby Union. He's recently served Team Singapore as Chef de Mission at the Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games and will lead an Olympic Games contingent for the first time in Rio de Janeiro. Please make welcome Singapore Rugby Union President, Teo Ping Lo. Ms. Janez Vos has been appointed the General Manager, Industry, International and Government Affairs, reporting directly to the Managing Director and CEO. Ms. Vos, prior to the appointment, was the General Manager for Fiji Link, the domestic and regional subsidiary of Fiji Airways. Fiji Airways Head of Corporate, Ms. Janez Vos. Also on stage with us, Marco Pacchioni is the co-founder and CEO of Pure Essential, World Rugby's new official sponsor. His son Rocco Pacchioni is Pure Essential's International Managing Director. The health brand, leader in aromatherapy, is now present in over 60 countries. And Marco and Rocco's current goal is to grow Pure Essential in Asia, starting with its launch in Singapore and Vietnam. With Pure Essential, they want to bring their expertise in manufacturing natural and effective health products throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Marco and Rocco Pacchioni.
And to stay here to reserve it and So for him, he's very, very sorry for that. This event is very important for him. This project is from since 2008. He worked with Japan Rugby Union, and after here with the Singapore Rugby Union. So he's very proud of that, and he's so again sorry to don't be here. So I will present it to you the key presentation here, and Antoine will help me to do that. So rugby in Asia is focused today because Rugby World Cup 2019, as everybody knows, is a great opportunity, and all the views in all the world are regarding Asia for rugby. Also, we have 3 other big events which support this development and this focus. There are the 7th in Dubai, we have the 7th in Hong Kong, and of course now we have the 7th in Singapore, as it will be a big event now, because we know we are close, and the 30,000 people will be at the stadium during 2 days. So it's a big event, and that showed how rugby in Asia interesting people. The Asian Rugby Union, as Mr. Koji Tokumatsu, President, is here today. It's 31 members today, 31 unions in Asia. I think maybe 10 years ago it was something like 12 unions. So you can see how in 10 years the things are going well in Asia, the structure are going on, and we will present to you after, for us, what could be the key of success to developing rugby in Asia. The Asian Rugby Union, can I see the card of the Asian Rugby Union? Yes, you can see here the 31 union in Asia. So it's quite a big continent, as you know, and that's why also we think a lot of how we can develop rugby in all of these big countries. Two other key things. I'm sorry. 400,000 players today in Asia, and World Rugby and Asian Rugby Union are expecting for 2019 1 million rugby players is the target. So we can see also how the viewers are interesting. Japan national team for the last Rugby World Cup, 25 million viewers on TV for each games of Japan national team. It's quite a lot, and again it's showing how rugby have facilities to develop in Asia. We can see the other, please, the major rugby event in Asia. So I talked a little bit about the Japan Rugby World Cup, of course, the Super Rugby in Tokyo and in Singapore, because as you know, the Senvos with the Japanese team will be held 3 of their games each year in Singapore. It's because of Singapore that the Japanese team could be involved, the superior team, because it was difficult for the South African team to go directly to Japan, so they found an agreement. So Singapore is involved in Super Rugby because of that. Of course, the Rugby 7 Series, Dubai, Hong Kong, Singapore, the Japan Top League, who is a very high level championship, the Asian 7 Series, and of course the women, because it's important to talk about how the women, how we can develop the practice for women in Asia. So, and they have an Asian Women Rugby Sevens Championships also. So, all these key are showing us how and why we would like to be involved on this rugby development. And what are our mission? The Asian Rugby Business Club and the Asian Rugby Project have got some mission was to growing the rugby community. What is the rugby community? It's the fans, the spectators, the players, the members, the unions. We want to be involved in growing the Asian rugby community. That's why we put in place a tool whose name is Asian Rugby TV. The concept is to help to give a tool to each union in Asia to have a web TV, easy to manage, and for them to propose some videos, some photos, and share with the social media also. And we think it's important to give access for free to rugby exposure in Asia. That's why Claude last year arranged to have some free TV rights for some Asian country because Rugby World Cup is involved in development of rugby in Asia, of course, and they give for free rights, so for free TV also again. So the next key, the next things we want to push is the commercial value. The rugby is not just a game. We've got some values, as everybody knows in the room, I think, and we need to take care of these values to help rugby development in Asia. Of course, the community of rugby in Asia is the youth players. We need to take care of them because it's them who will be involved in 2019 and in 2023 and to help Japan, China to grow up and to have also a sport level to exist on the international competition. The corporate also, it's very important for us to build around the rugby a corporate structure because we know that rugby values are very close to corporate values. So it's an important thing for us. And of course, improve competition standard in Asia. It's one of the key things I would like to do. No, could you come here? Yeah, it was the mission before. So mission, it was the first one. Yeah, it was the mission, and now it's our objective. Thank you. So maximize the rugby event, of course, the commercial values, effective management and structure and process, because Asia have to learn about the process, about the management on big event, but now Asia is totally aware of that. And of course, maximize the positive economy, social and physical impact. So the key to success for us are the broadcast and the media coverage, of course, because a successful event, it's just regarding the ticketing sales. You know, if you have 5,000 people in the stadium, it will be the same success than if you have 40,000 in the stadium. So the key things is that to have big event in Asia with a lot of people watching, and of course it will be helping to growing up the rugby in Asia. The social media, of course, it's a key to success because now social media is everywhere in our life. The government investment, as you can see, the stadium here in Singapore is so important. The union structure, you see the 10 years ago and now the union are very better than before, and they have again they still have work to do on it. Domestic tournament, so of course the university and school, it's the base for us, and the spectators numbers I explained to you just before. So there is for us the key of success. We hope that in 2019 all of this target could be achieved, and we will probably organize the same conference next year to compare our key to success, and to show you the way rugby in Asia can make year after year, and if the 2019 target will be achieved. So now I will leave this to Jed, and Jed will manage some questions for our guests here, and after, I don't know if we have a free talk with some people, and I'll leave you the microphone. Thank you very much, Jed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Mr. Lapasset.
Yeah.
Help add some context from World Rugby's perspective of the position and the opportunities available for the Asia region as we feed into this next World Cup cycle.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. Welcome everybody for this event. It's an important moment for us, including for the World Rugby. You know, that's not just for me, but the strategy in Asia is very important for rugby now. As you know, that we open the world. Rugby is not just a traditional sport. It's more than that. It's for the future, for the new generations, a new sport with two disciplines, the 15 and 7s. 15 is we achieved a Rugby World Cup in England last year at a high-level performance. Is a fantastic result. I think the 15 now is a sport, a global sport, and with the event in the World Cup is the most important event that we have in rugby. It's the third one in the world. First one is the Olympic Games. The second one is a World Cup soccer World Cup. The second one is the world, and the third one is rugby. That's in terms of numbers and reference that we have in the ranking. That is a very important position that we have now, and it's timing now to open more and more the 15 discipline in the world, including in Asia. As you know, the next one, the first time, the World Cup will be in Japan, in Asia. That decision taken wasn't not very easy to take, and we deliver with my friend Koji a long debate in the council to convince the people to take the decision. It's the first time that we open the World Cup in the non-union, funding union in rugby. First time. And that's, I think, a good occasion to do that. Because Japan is mature to deliver the best event in the World Cup. And I'm sure it will be a very good successful in the World Cup in Asia. We need a big event, not just in Japan, in Asia as well. With a new branding model, with a new ticketing model, with a new process for the broadcasting model, and so that's the part of the reference that we have to open with the World Cup in Japan in 2019. I'm sure they will be successful, but we need to push in. We need your support. We need your help. We need your vision that we sharing in together to be sure that we can promote the best for the game rugby and the discipline for the 15. Another one is the 7. We are now with the 7s, a new discipline and member of the Olympic family with. That's very important for the Asian people in the world. The concept of the Olympics is very crucial for the Asia people. And when we're part of the family, we are part of the global vision that we're sharing together in the sevens. It's a model for the new generations. It's different than the 15. It's different. 15 is more in the fighting, it's more in the global sport in terms of the fighting sport. That's the term that we have together. But if 7 is more in the transparency of the values of the individual players. But at the same time, we need the creation, the together, pushing together in the same way. This camaraderie, the team spirit is very important. The 7 probably at the same level as the 15. But different in terms of the timing in the game. Very short, very speed, very athletics, and very at the same time very technical. That's very simple in terms of the laws. It's a direct comprehension in terms of the laws of the game between the fan and the players itself. And very simple for the referee to manage the good process and the good timing for the game. That's the quality different than the 7th, but the 7th is part now in Olympic Games in Rio. In 3 months we will be on the field. The best player will be there to compete for the performance and compete for the medals. That's very unique and for rugby it's a return in the past. Remember that we have the last time in the rugby we played a 15 in 1924. It's a lot of time, you know that. But we come back with the 7th, new strategy and a new vision for the new generation. That's the situation that we have in Asia. And the 7th in Hong Kong was a starting point. Another one in Dubai, missing something in the middle. And the best place is Singapore. I'm sure in Singapore we have all the tools to compete in the high level performance for the 7th. My friend TP is working a lot for that, and he's a good manager. He's a good, very passionate about rugby, passionate about sport, and convince the people to working together to pushing for the best event that we have. But the stadium is a fantastic location as well. And we have, all elements are inside. The quality of the economy in Singapore is very high. Now 2nd place in Asia, and that's a good signal that we have a good economy. It's a good signal that promote the fans to coming in the stadium, to sharing more emotional moment and support the national team behind. That's a good signal that we have in Singapore to be sure that we have a strong competition. We saw the best player. I was in Hong Kong last week, and it was a fantastic tournament. I'm sure they will be the same. We have some teams of the revenge. They have not completely achieved at the top. I'm sure it will be a big fight on the field. Not talk about the New Zealand because the guys is looking for about New Zealand, but I'm sure there will be a big event including New Zealand as well. That's the way for Asia. That's the way for rugby in Asia, and I'm sure that will be a very good success during the rugby week. I hope to see you on the game. It's a good moment for sharing emotions together and to pushing for the success of rugby in Olympics. Thank you very much.
Chair of Asia Rugby. There's been some exciting announcements over the last week, certainly with World Rugby's deal with Ali Sport, and of course last night here in Singapore the announcement of the partnership between World Rugby and Pure Essential. From a business perspective, Asia Rugby, how is it organised now to start capitalising on the potential of the region that it's working with?
Okay, before I mention that one, first of all, I'm very privileged and happy to be able to sit down with Bernard in the same stage. As he said, while he was a chairman of World Rugby, without him, we couldn't achieve two things. One is to bring World Cup in Japan, first time not only in Asia, but first time in non-traditional venues. He opened the door, And also bring rugby into the Olympic. Rio and Tokyo. So two things could not happen without Bernard's leadership. For Asia, I think that our Asian people have the same value as rugby. We respect people. Teamwork is very important. Solidarity and self-sacrifice. You know, that kind of a discipline is all we have common in Asia. So For example, in Japan, the rugby is education program used a very strong educational tool to make people grow as a good adult. But to make the rugby more from here, this step to the next step, we really need to understand that we need some support from corporates. And the good thing what I can say is that if you could support us, you can grow together with us. You know, rugby here in Asia here, we can grow together with you. So this is what I'm looking for. And this is not only the World Cup in Japan, seventh World Cup, seventh series in Singapore. Another thing which my friend TP, president of the Singapore Rugby, did was Saturday, Sunday we consider elite sports, but also today in a different stadium, Singapore Rugby is inviting Southeast Asian sevens, where those who cannot participate tomorrow can play today together. So we need to look at both sides, elite sports, but developing sports, developing teams. So I appreciate your interest and support. Thank you.
Strong interest from the business community, and can you give us some examples of how Asia Rugby has moved forward on some of these negotiations at all?
Well, even that Japan was awarded the World Cup to host right is 2009, you see. And at that time, of course, Japan national team's performance was not very good, and people don't know how to react. Japan only won one game out of the last 7 World Cup at that time. So I think it's a time for us to tell people what is the important message to have a World Cup in Asia. So currently, we are not able to demonstrate yet enough values of having the World Cup in Japan. So it's up to us to send more messages, or maybe share information together with people today.
I suppose I'll take this opportunity because it's commercial time. Please tell your friends, Category 1 tickets for tomorrow, only 400 available, Category 2 300, and Category 3 300. Only 1,000 tickets are left. There's been a lot of mention about the last time we hosted Sevens in Singapore was 10 years ago. Let me share with you a little bit of a light-hearted story. And one of the teams who are here, and they were then staying at the present Swiss Hotel. And one of the teams who are here, one of their players, at about 3 a.m. in the morning, not sure what happened, opened the window and threw the bed out. And I'm not kidding. But what was good about that event was that the hotel took care of it. No police was called. It destroyed the awning of Prego, the Italian restaurant. And everything was kind of put back into place. And the next morning, life went on. So we hope this time none of those things are going to happen, because this is a much taller hotel that we're staying, which is Pan Pacific. Okay? Anyhow, we have in some way, I think, asked them to nail the beds onto the floor, so that will not happen. Now, jokes aside, it's not a joke, it did happen, but the question that I've been asked so very often is, why did we in fact want to host the Sevens? I've been asked yesterday umpteen times by, I'm not sure whether it's Reuters or BBC, but he says, yeah, but rugby, it's not popular here, So I say, what's popular? He says, oh, it's eating. And I said, come on, You must remember we are part of the old British Commonwealth, part of the old British Empire, and we are now still members of the British Commonwealth, and I myself played rugby 50 years ago. I came from a school called Raffles, in which it was mandatory for us to really muck around with the funny shaped ball. And that's how we actually, in fact, grew to like the sport. And we were playing rugby with the likes of the British schools that were then in Singapore, and we played against RF Tengah, RF Changi. I still remember playing against HMS Parramatta from Australia, who were visiting Singapore, and we made sure that we'll play them at 4 p.m. because that was the best time of the day, because it was where the sun was really shining brightly, and that they probably would not be able to last as long as we were so used to this heat here and the humidity. But rugby has always been in our system, and when 10 years ago when we hosted it, it was not like the way we have in the World 7 Series as of today, and more so made by the fact that they are going into the Olympics. So when we decided that we need to do something about trying to bring that 7 Series back into Singapore, it was very much predicated by the fact that we now have an iconic stadium called the Sports Hub National Stadium, which is really second to none in the world. So we then put our heads and minds into it, and we then told ourselves, if you want to host this event, do we just host this event like a sports event happens over the weekend, and then plan for next year, and then that's it? 29,000 people come, visit it, maybe next year a little bit more. We then had to sit down and set ourselves a vision. And the vision is predicated by what do we feel can come out from hosting the Sevens in Singapore. So on that, we took it at different levels. We took it at the union level, because the union was very much the rights holder for the event. We said, if we were to host it, are we going to go bankrupt? Are we going to, in fact, make money out of this? And naturally, being in Singapore, we were very much motivated by the fact that we probably can make some money out of this. And making money out of this cannot be just for the sake of making money. It must go into helping rugby development in Singapore. And that was one of our important motivation, that if we were to organize it, we will in fact want to definitely help grow the sport in Singapore, develop the union in terms of its ability to be able to help get more people into rugby, grow the sport, play rugby at a much higher level than what we are today. So we are really starting from first base. And as a result, we then went to the government of Singapore and we said, we'd like to do this, and they said, sure, let's do it together. So that's at the union level. In terms of at the sports level, we believe rugby, definitely with its tremendous characteristics, with its values embedded in rugby, where no rugby player has ever questioned the referee, because you wouldn't dare to, because we are not football. We felt that definitely it has a place to play in our school curriculum, and that is when we then went also wholeheartedly in wanting to get involved with hosting it. And rightfully so, because in conjunction with this event, we already held the under-14s tournament for boys over the last few weeks. And in fact, the two teams that have made it to the finals, Anglo-Chinese Independent and Raffles Institution, will be playing on Sunday on the same pitch that the 16 teams of the best in the world, they'll be sharing that pitch with them. And that is really very much part of growing that sport, inculcating a sense of aspiration for rugby in Singapore. We didn't want to stop at that. As a commitment to World Rugby, we say we will also want to improve the landscape of rugby sevens in this part of the world. And as such, we have organized the Southeast Asian Sevens that's taking place right this very moment at the Yio Chu Kang Stadium, in which both men and women will be playing their hearts out, that the two top teams will eventually appear on the same stage at the National Stadium on Saturday. So try and understand where we are coming from, that if you want to grow the sport, let's have our neighbors also work with us. The last thing that we want is play the sport and you want to be combative and you want to spar, travel all the way to Kazakhstan. I think that's a little bit too far to go. Try and play Japan. Yes, we probably can, but they probably will provide us their best school teams. And I don't think that would be fair. So that's why we have gone on to develop this Southeast Asian Sevens. And it also supports the SEA Games, the Southeast Asian Games that also has rugby, and also the Asian Games. So it's going to be a full menu for the countries in Southeast Asia going forward, that they have an opportunity to really play with one another, develop the sport, and continue to bring it to a next level. So that's on the union sports level. At the national level, why are we doing this? You know that in Singapore we have the F1, we have the WTA, tennis. So this is, and then of course there is the badminton that's going on at the indoor stadium right now, plus a few other sporting events that take place in Singapore. And we felt that this would definitely be very much part and parcel of the whole sporting landscape in Singapore, where the country wants to develop Singapore as a global sporting city. And that's where we then went on to bid this with the help of both Sports Council or Sports SG, plus also the Singapore Tourism Board. So this event is not just Singapore Rugby Union, but we have the help of the government, and it's a national event, and it definitely will put Singapore on the world map, because the broadcast itself that's going to take place over the next 2 days is going to cover millions of people around the world who will be watching very keenly what's taking place in Singapore. And then we have this stadium that is really a showpiece that we have. So that's at the national level. And I can go on to talk about its impact on legacy, its ability to be able to brand Singapore even much better than who we are, what we are at this very moment. But what is important here is that this particular initiative is not just Singapore Rugby Union alone in it. It is really the whole nation behind it. Made so confirmed even more vigorously by the fact that we have got 29,000 or more people who will be coming to the stadium for the next 2 days. And that's per day attendance that we're expecting, not the total of 2 days. So you're going to expect 29,000 each day this weekend. And that, I think, is very much an affirmation of the fact that I think the Singaporeans here, the people who are residing here in Singapore, plus to a certain extent some of our friends in the neighborhood in the Southeast Asian region, who have come to support this event. And we believe this event really can definitely have a tremendous economic impact on Singapore too, which we will in fact be carrying out a research study over the weekend, where we're going to try and establish certain benchmarks and certain data that we will then share with future sponsors, with other partners who probably would invest further into this event. So thank you very much. By you being here also definitely has augmented the support that you are giving us for the Singapore Rugby Sevens that we are having here in Singapore over the weekend. And like I said earlier on, excuse me. Like I said earlier on, if your friends have not bought tickets, better do it as soon as possible. So thank you very much and have a good weekend.
Fiji Airways here with us today. As I said, they are the greatest team to play sevens. And every now and then we will give them a run, but ultimately I think deep down in our hearts I know which team we will prefer to see win. What can some of the Asian countries do or learn from Fiji? And the reason I ask you is because obviously Fiji Airways has that magnificent relationship with the Flying Fijians, and I've since read some notes that says you're also the official Singapore Sevens airline as well, so that's a fantastic support, yes. As the key supporter for the Flying Fijians, what can the Asian countries do perhaps to build their abilities to compete at their highest level?
Thank you, and hello everyone. It is indeed a pleasure for us Fijians to be invited to share our experience this morning or today. Rugby is a religion in Fiji. We live, we breathe rugby. Everyone in Fiji is an authority on rugby. I am, my nieces are, my mother is. My mum can tell you what Ben Ryan should do or how you should approach the team. She can tell you who's playing well and who's not playing well. She has no idea about any rules of rugby at all. But that's how passionate we are in Fiji about rugby. Development of rugby in Asia, growing the rugby community, or for that matter, making it commercially viable as well. What can we share with you? When you look at it, Fiji wasn't always on the top of its game as far as rugby is concerned. What you really need to do or look at is creating a huge fan base. And the way you create a huge fan base is to have winning teams. And to be able to do that, what Fiji has done is created that fan base. We have the flair, our boys definitely have the flair, because rugby just doesn't happen. It starts in the villages, in the schools, it's everywhere. And there's no particular age that you actually start playing rugby. One of the things that we do have in Fiji, and that works really well, is our training camps, how we positioned for training. We don't have the big stadiums. Our boys don't train at the National Stadium or any big stadium. They train, and the training camps are resort site. They're beach resorts. They developed into training camps. Recently we had the Spanish rugby team come over, and they spent a few weeks in Fiji, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. They played with some of the best rugby players you can imagine in the sevens rugby alongside them. So when we were talking about, we won't give you the B and C grade rugby players to train with. We'll give you the best rugby teams, the best rugby clubs that we have an offer that we can have you train with. So what I'm trying to say here is that use Fiji. We have an offer. I mean, Fiji Airways has just commenced flying direct flights from Singapore to Fiji, and we also fly directly from Hong Kong to Fiji. So, we have opened up the way to get to Fiji, and for rugby teams to participate, be it schools, be it clubs, come to Fiji, come and train with us. Let's show you. And also, I plea to World Rugby, have some games in Fiji. Let's show you. Let us help the Asian teams develop rugby. Come to Fiji and train with us. And let Fiji Airways take you there.
Industry in the coming years.
Oh, definitely. Fiji Airways is the official sponsor of the Rugby Sevens team, and we've also now the sponsors here for Singapore Rugby. And we're looking at those opportunities, and I think we have a great partnership going, and we look at creating more partnerships that way. We definitely want to be part of the scene, and we will use our leverage, we'll use our presence with with the Sevens Rugby to create that business. We've opened up, I think, not only Fiji, but in terms of Fiji tourism and how we approach it. And we do packaging around that. We bring people in from Fiji. I mean, the biggest followers, if you look at some of the stadiums that I've been watching rugby, we were in Vancouver. The biggest following, the biggest crowd based there was Fijians. So using that, and I think that's something that not only us as Fijians, we can create that sort of business, but I think there's an opportunity for everyone, even in Asia, to be able to have that sort of, make it commercially viable as well, whilst upgrading or you growing the community, the rugby community here, you also at the same time have the opportunity to create some business out of it as well.
Thank you, Ms. Foss. Thank you. As I mentioned last night, there was an announcement at the Pan Pacific Hotel between a newly signed partnership between World Rugby and Pure Essential. And joining us, I won't say down the end, but over there, Marco and Rocco Pakioni from Pure Essential. Gentlemen, explain why it is that you feel rugby is a good partner for your company, for your brand, for the future of your business.
Thank you to all. For us, it's a very important thing to be partner with World Rugby. When I met Bernard a few months ago, it just took a few meetings to sign a contract. And the announcement that we did yesterday was a very, very important step for us. I let Rocco, who runs the business in Asia, to speak about our products and our partnership.
As Jed said, it's an important partnership for us because we talked with Bernard yesterday and we know rugby is like a family and we're a family business. So that's why it was very easy to make the partnership because it was like making a partnership between two families. And we know rugby is going to be the sport of the future. We know people are looking for alternatives, whereas it's for drugs with our products that are an alternative, whereas it's an alternative for football. There is a reason today that rugby is the fastest growing sport in Asia. It's because it's fast, it's fun. I was saying yesterday, when you find someone who likes rugby, you know you have a friend. You know you're going to have a good time with him. And that's why you always make a good business and you spend a good time with them. And Bernard spoke about the Sevens being the sport of the new generation. I might be the youngest one here today, so I'm going to be the speaker for the new generation. And I think Sevens is the greatest sport we have today for the new people. Because it's fast, you have a lot of fun, and it rewards risk. And that's what you see with the new company in digital or new company like we are, is that you want something, you've seen the attention span of the teenagers today. They can't watch something more than 12 seconds. So with Sevens, they can see 50 games in one day. They can find everything, and they can drink a few beers, and they can see a lot of risks taken by young guys. And I think that's why it's the greatest sport that we have today for the young people.
Expand on how Pure Essentials will be basically using their partnership to leverage business in Asia.
Yes, so we have products that are 100% natural, as Jed said, but also with a proven efficacy. That's why it was a good partnership with World Rugby, because we'll be training all the medical teams of World Rugby, and also sending our products to all the federations. When I say all the federations, it's not only the top 10 or 20 federations, we'll be sending the products to every single federation, so the doctors can try them, enjoy them, and if they're convinced, then we can work with the teams to help the smaller team as well, provide some products, because we have a range for muscle and joints, for back pain, for sport preparation, and we know it's going to be the range of the future, because we saw that all the chemicals are taken away from all the products now, and we spoke yesterday about that, because we know that players now, they have to think long term, they have to think about their career, and they want to take care of themselves for now, and to be not all broken later on, and we can help them with that. We can help them have a long career, be clean, keep rugby clean, but also help them treat their aches and pains that they might have during the toughest game of the world.
And I'm going to be bringing the insect repellent with me to Rio, because it is natural, it does not have, it's teeth free, correct?
And proven efficacy.
Greatest commercial.
Thank you.
discussion. We're going to be moving to the network side, or networking aspect of the day, which is really what we're here for. Once again, if you would, please show your appreciation for our speakers. Mr. Masi, Tiki Lo, thank you, Mr. President. This was good one. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll see you for a cup of tea.